Hello and welcome back to my YouTube defensive recruiting series. Today we are going to focus on the 335 Tite. Interesting research here because when I did the order for this series, I thought the Tite was just going to be an alternate version of the 335. Come to find out, this is actually a hybrid of the 335 and the 425. You're gonna see why soon. It uses a lot of the fronts that the 335 does, but a lot of the back end coverage that you lean on in the 425. So both of those videos will be valid here. First thing we're gonna talk about, as always, we're gonna talk about the depth chart. And again, if you don't know already, I have a free Google Sheet in the description. No sign up or anything. We told you we like free information and having fun. It has every defensive formation in the game. Bam, 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 bam. Sorted out by playbook. So if you have not already have this, go ahead and click it, save it. It's updated. All of the positions are correct. We had to check a couple things. You can even use this to follow along as we talk about during this video. So let's get back to this. The big thing about the 335 Tite is the interesting fronts that it gives you. First thing you're going to see is number 6 right here. He is an absolute stud, and I want you to follow him because he is going to be your nose tackle. Your nose tackle is, much like the 335, the centerpiece of the front 7. It has to be 300 plus pounds strength, and because of that, we all know what I'm going to go with here. I like pure power from a nose tackle. He's going to be taking up double team blocks, but with Darrell Jackson Jr. at Florida State, who's going to be an absolute superstar this year in Tony White's defense, which is what you're seeing here, I really truly believe that the pure power gives you a better versatile nose tackle. He's going to be huge. He's going to take up double team blocks, but he also has the ability to get pocket disruptor, and the pure power gets better pass rush abilities, especially power move. So I think the pure power is better specifically for the nose tackle. Now, if we go past the nose tackle, well, who's filling in the other 2 spots? 1 and 2. Well, this is DT1 and DT2, right? Well, those, I'm actually going away from pure power for this. I want gap specialist. And the reason that I want gap specialists with these is, again, the abilities. For these 2 positions, I want them to be able to stop the run. I care about the run so much in these fronts, especially when you see what we're going to do with number 40 here, this right edge. You'll see why we do this in a second, but gap specialists, again, as we talked about previously, inside disruptor, outside disruptor, option disruptor, all 3 of the types of runs in games, they're going to have an advantage in. They obviously get a little block shed bonus for their ratings. They get workhorse, again, big for wear and tear. And then they also get grip breaker. Now, grip breaker isn't something they always get, but if you get a high level grip breaker on either one of the defensive tackles, that actually helps them with pass rushing. Once it gets to gold, the grip breaker goes from a run shed to a pass rushing ability. It can do both. Now, I mentioned very quickly number 40 here. Bam. This is your right edge. And crazy about this in this defensive playbook. Watch number 40 as we cycle through the 325s. So he's on the right side now, right? In the penny, you see he flips. He's on the left side. Back over to the right for the overflex. They utilize this position. We've talked about the star or the Lobo, or I call them Jack sometimes. The Jack of all trades. Depending on the defense, there's different terminology for this player. I mentioned in the last video that Brian Urlacher in college played something along these lines. Well, this is the superstar of the defense. So if the nose tackle is your heartbeat, this guy is essentially making all of the other plays. If the nose tackle is your spine, this player is going to be the right hand swatting at everybody. Okay, he's going to be the guy that throws the punches. He is Rocky after climbing up those steps. That's what he wants to be for you. So, okay, so he's a right edge. What edge are we going to go for? We're not. There's one position in this defense that is not used in the depth chart, and that is the Sam. The cool thing about outside linebacker in this game is they get not only coverage abilities and run stopping abilities, but most of them get some type of pass rushing ability, or at least a higher rating. If you look in your own dynasty and look through outside linebackers throughout the dynasty, you're gonna see a lot of them with finesse move or power move. The problem is Edge, on the other hand, has no coverage abilities. That's right. When we get into the 3-4, you're gonna hear more about this. But edges in this game do not get coverage abilities. So every time you drop an edge into coverage on like a blitz or like a cover 4 where they're not supposed to be rushing, there's going back with like 40 zone cover or like 40 man cover. That's unacceptable in this defense. Completely unacceptable in this defense. So for your edge, you are actually going to recruit Sam. That's right. And you're not going to change their position when you get them. You're going to leave them as a Sam and play them at right edge. So this Sam right here, technically, even though he says Sam, he's going to play right edge for us. And what you're looking for in the thumper is you're looking for somebody that is a little heavier, 240, 250, maybe a little heavier for a linebacker. Might even want to go athlete here. You want to have a little bit of coverage ability. Zone cover. Zone cover is mainly, man cover is a very nice icing on this. You're gonna have somebody that has either pass move or finesse move, PMV or FMV. And there are so many of these players out there. It's kind of crazy how many versatile outside linebackers there are to recruit in this game. You may even have some on your team and not realize it. So we want to go Sam and have him go right edge. Again, there is no Sam in this game. What I will say is if you're going to recruit edges, because the game kind of forces you to in a way, I would still go with edge setters. Again, stopping the run. They have abilities of the same as the gap specialist, where they have all of the run stopping abilities, and you can use them at left edge, which for those of you wondering, on this penny, this number 10 right here is the left edge. Shows it on our Google Doc right here. This is actually a left edge. So the left edge is going to get mixed in, and very regularly the left edge will be an edge setter for you. But not normally dropping back in too much coverage. If you want, you can do Sam on both left and right edge and just recruit a ton of Sams. That would be nice. I just feel like they get a little too light on both edges. I like to get a little bit more weight, and edge setter can do that for you. So edge, mostly for your left edge, is going to be an edge setter. Your two linebackers that play in the middle of the field most often. We're going to start with the Mike, the middle linebacker. It's going to be a signal caller. Signal caller, again, gives you the ability in the middle of that defense to not only stop the run with inside disruptor, but also wrap up and hammer, which are great tackling abilities. And then grip breaker, which again, we've already talked about, on a higher level could be a pass rushing ability, but for the most part will help you lateral shed off of blocks. Great for a middle linebacker. The other side of this is the will. And the will, you're going to recruit a little bit more for, because the will is going to be your lurkers. The will is also going to be your sub linebackers and your nickel. Your will is going to be your natural position of coverage. These are the guys that are going to cover the back end of the defense, the weak side of the defense. But also when the sub linebacking comes in, when you go nickel, even dime in this defense, you want your lurkers to be in for your sub linebacker. I think that's very important, especially with how heavy we're going to be up front. That's the big difference between the 4-2-5 here. The 4-2-5, I like to let my front four really pass rush, and they're a little lighter because of it. The 3-3-5, I like to be really heavy up front and send blitzes. This one, I like to have a little bit of a mix up front with the 3 defensive tackles and then the Sam linebacker, and then let my sub linebackers be more of the coverage guys. So again, that's where we stand with this. Cornerbacks. We're going to go back to the 4. This is where the 4-2-5 comes back in. I really like bump and run on the outside. So again, when you're recruiting and when you're putting these in the depth chart, this is the normal cornerback position. You want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'd say top 4 at least, to be bump and run. I did say that I kind of liked boundary at these at one point, but I've gotten a little bit away from the ability list. I like the bump and run because in match coverage, which is what you're going to be playing a lot of in this defense, there's the hybrid back to the 4-2-5, weird fronts, but with a hybrid coverage. You really want to have man cover on the outside. Why is that? Match coverage is man coverage. It starts in zone for the first 5 yards. It uses play recognition to tell it when to switch. And then when it switches, the rest of the routes are man coverage. The rest of the routes are man coverage. You're literally locking on the outsides. So that's definitely something you want. Blanket coverage, jammer, house call, all of these things, ball hawk, knockout, all of these things help with solo man coverage on the outsides. Now, the slot cornerbacks, who again will be playing in your nickel. We'll get to the safeties here in a second because the safeties are going to be very similar to what we did 4-2-5 as well. The slot cornerbacks, when you go a little coverage heavy, you want to go field or zone. For the same reasons we explained back in the 4-2-5, field or zone tend to have better movement, better agility. And because they're playing in so much space, you're going to want guys that move a little better, especially them being closer to the quarterback, a little bit higher reaction time with some of their abilities. If you want my favorite of this, I tend to lean to field because field gives you blanket coverage and tends to be a little bit better man coverage, tends to be like the hybrids of last year or the slot of last year. And again, with match coverage, you want to have some good man coverage. Field tends to be a little bit better if you like to shade up your coverage and break match. Field tends to be better, or zone tends to be better for that. If you do like to run more just base cover 3, you don't like match coverage, when you do cover 4, you're gonna shade up and make sure match coverage doesn't affect anything. You're just gonna do drop zones. Then zone cover slot corners will be better. But in this case, I really like to run field, but zone is a good backup. For your safeties, now a little weird here. I'm gonna tell you a little weird here. Be real honest with you, because you'll notice in the mint, your starting strong safety 1 is down in the slot. We talked about this before in the 4-2-5, but in the penny, it's now back up here, and this is strong safety 2. But then you go to the overflex, and strong safety. I'm sorry, this is strong safety 2 here and 1 up here. Sorry, apologies about that. You go to the penny, and all of a sudden they've switched, and now overflex they're staying the same. This is 1, this is 2 now. Now they're down here. So it's a little bit more all over the place when it comes to the safeties. So I like to run almost exclusively hybrid. I'm allowing coverage to be in here because a lot of people would rather have coverage and are comfortable being able to stop the run game out of the slot just with a safety. For me, my favorite is hybrid. I love the idea of a safety that can not only get knockout, not only get knockout as they go, because again, you're gonna have being able to knock passes out, but also get aftershock and blow up. I'm a big fan of aftershock in this game. If you talk to anybody about the wear and tear in this game, you know the effects of aftershock. And yes, the box specialist can get that, but the box specialist doesn't have that same coverage ability that the hybrid does. If you're more of a coverage player and you're not worried about really trying to go after players or trying to work on their wear and tear or try to get the next guys in, cover specialist gets ball hawk, layout, robber, house call, and knockout. All 5 great coverage abilities. And they will play almost as good as a slot cornerback does for you with a bigger body. But for me, I like the hybrids. I tend to think they're a little bit better just overall. Again, I think they move a little bit better acceleration-wise, a little bit better agility-wise. That's where I tend to fall in love. So this is what I would say is your perfect archetypes for building this. Let's talk about how we're going to play call this. Let's get this off the screen for a second. So for me, the mint is the start and the star. The start and the star for everything. Because I have this beautiful Sam player right here now that I know I can drop back at any point, I can feel very comfortable running any match coverage. I can send him in on blitzes. I can send blitzes from anywhere that I really want. So cover, what we start here is my favorite is I love just run Tampa 2. You're gonna hear this a lot through this defensive series. Tampa 2 or cover 2 is the best zone coverage in the game, in my opinion. It's very tough to beat over the top, unless you don't get to the quarterback. In that case, you got to watch this spot right here. One of the nice adjustments about Tampa 2 is if you select the linebacker that's in the mid read, you can actually hot route him into a middle third, and be super safe over the top. It's almost like an inverted cover 3, I would say. So he will actually run back. He will actually run all the way back here, and then you're leaving down here to face with like your user linebacker. So I do love Tampa 2 here. As we did talk about with 4-2-5, I really like cover 4 quarters in 2x2. So doubles, not compression. To be very clear, what I mean by that is when the doubles are out wide, if players are compressed, so like deuces, if you have like the offensive line here and you've got 1-2 wide receivers and 1-2 wide receivers very close to the tackle box, I like to go cover 3 match there or Tampa 2. I don't like to run quarters against compression. It just doesn't feel like it matches very well in this game. So, and then obviously we talked about this before multiple times. Palms, I like in 3x1. Really like palms in a 3x1. I feel like it matches the trip side better. It also takes whatever this one receiver here and plays man on them immediately. And also, whichever side the trips is on. So again, we've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it again. Let's say you have 1, 2, 3 on this side, receivers, and 1 receiver on this side. This safety right here, you can use her and not have to worry about an assignment. Now, you want to be very careful about receivers that come up this way, like on crosses and stuff, but you can help other defenders out. If you see somebody on like a crosser that got by a linebacker or got by a slot cornerback or got by a safety, you can go down and help them out and not have to worry about, oh no, I'm going to blow my assignment. You don't have to worry about that in palms if you're going against 3x1. One of the reasons I really like that is because you can use her, that safety, and not worry about assignment. You're essentially a help defender no matter where you are. Also, again, as we talked about this defense, I don't mind blitzing this defense. Whereas in the 4-2-5, I worried more about it because how we had it set up. This defense, because if you look at this guy right here, you remember this guy? Do you know who this is? That's our Sam. That's right. We now have a defensive lineman that can play coverage. So I don't mind throwing overload 3 press at like 3rd and 7. Always remember, this is match coverage. We talk about this all the time. Pink is match. Whenever you see a pink, it's match. Whenever you see, where's the purple? Where's the cover 3? Where'd he go? This is the difference in colors. Zone. That's kind of zone. Excuse my writing. And then this is match. Okay? And you even see it down here. See the difference? Match, zone. That's the easy way you can tell is by the color of the zones. Purple in it is a zone. Pink is a match. While we have this on the screen, the other thing that I really like, and we talked about this again in the 4-2-5, is cover 6. Love cover 6 against bunch. So bunch is if you have the tackle box and it goes, and they're really close, and it's like the tight end here, and there are 3 receivers like that, and then 1 receiver on this side. Really like cover 6 against bunch. If you have auto flip on, it'll automatically do this, but you want the cover 4 side against the bunch. And then what else I like about this is if this guy is like the star, if this is your Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams, you're essentially bracketing that coverage. This guy's going to watch short, this guy's going to watch deep, and you're going to use this guy for anything in the middle. Anything in the middle there. Love cover 6 for that reason. So as you spread over, it's the same play call out of these. It's a different front, the same play call, okay? So you're gonna do your cover 3, your cover 4s are in here, cover 4 palms, cover 6, there's a cover 4 quarters in here. You get your blitz with your 3, right here. I'm not big on the cover 2 blitzes, especially here. So I would stay away from this play call. Why is that? Number one, while this can do good against like a rollout, this blitz, it takes a while. It takes longer than you would think, especially with how good the computer is on Heisman level difficulties at getting the ball out. It takes a while for that guy to get home. The other problem of this is if this guy is not super fast, if there's a receiver over here and he runs just a go, this is essentially a foot race. And the last thing you want to do is get in a foot race on a cover 2 on a deep blue in this game. Okay? So again, Not a big fan of corner blitz too, but like anything that has 3 over the top, I'm okay with. Or anything that has 2 over the top, but it starts over the top. I don't like to run, like I'm not even a big fan of inverted cover 2 in this defense, because very generally, especially with the safety being here all the time, you don't have the speed to really make up against some of the higher level opponents. Overflex, same idea here. I'm talking about the same idea. I will say, cover 3, people ask me about cover 3 a lot. This is normally my answer for empty. So if there's no running back in the backfield, I love cover 3 match, cover 3 Buzz Mabel, not the cover 3 Sky. Cover 3 Sky is just a base coverage you want to run every once in a while. I really love Buzz Mabel cover 3 match, or any of the cover 3 matches against empty. The only difference you're looking at is if the slot receivers are very fast, if they have takeoff. So you got to do a little scouting here. But if the slot receivers are fast, I like to do normal cover 3 match. If they're more route runners, I like to do Mabel. Mabel does a great job against like flooding defenses, against defenses that are going to try to stretch the outside and run like some kind of concept under that. I feel like the regular cover 3 match is very good against like slants or against like ins and levels and stuff like that. That's what the differentiation that I would say between the 2 cover 3 matches, okay? We're gonna move into this. I will say this about 3-4 tight. This specifically because the edges are edges in this game. Even when you put Sam and Will in these spots, I don't like 3-4 tight whatsoever. I like 3-4 odd, but this is the only 3-4 in here. I would only run this. Only run this if you are going against an option team or a team that is just killing you on the ground. It's a good mix-in for that. But why? Well, let me tell you. Edge defender, and then you have your normal DT1 nose tackle, DT2, right? The problem is edge defender. That's the problem. Again, what do we say about this game? Edge defenders don't cover very well, right? Even if we have our Sam on one side and our edge setter on the other side, right? I mean, look at how many times this goes back and forth. Edge and coverage, edge and coverage, edge and coverage, edge and coverage, edge and coverage over here. Like, you see what I mean? It's too many edges in coverage to really be effective, in my opinion. Again, if you want to run this against an option team that's hurting you, or a team that's doing really heavy runs against you, I think that's advantageous. You can mix this in. I would not sit in 3-4 tight more than one or two plays at a time. So the other thing, again, about the nickel, we have a lot of good nickel stuff here. One of the best things that I love about nickel, and a lot of people tell you 3-3 double mug, which is great. You can run a lot of your normal stuff out of 3-3 double mug. Mid blitz is very good, but not necessary. Run it once in a while, get out of it. I love, because you have boundary defenders, because you have people that can play man coverage, I love mixing in cover 1 hole sometimes. I actually really love sitting in like a Tampa 2 or a cover 2 and running cover 2 out of some of these. But my favorite is 2-4 load mug. And this is against 2nd and 7, 3rd and 7, somewhere where you know the computer has to run. You don't want to run load against anywhere where the computer can run the ball. I'm sorry, has to pass. The loads never run these two against when the computer has an opportunity to run, because they will run through this big gap. See this gap? That is a designed gap in the play on the defensive line. They will take advantage of that gap. So I'm saying 3rd and long, 2nd and long, somewhere where you know they're going to pass. I love to do the load, and then I love holding the button and going into one of your stunts. We haven't really talked about stunts in defensive schemes, but this right 3 pirate man will take all 3 of the defenders that are not in the load, and it will stunt them. If you have any kind of blitz coming from this side, the center is so worried about grabbing this stunt that goes to the outside. He's so worried about all the stunts that you normally will have a successful pass rush, or at least a pressure. Okay? So that I think that's a very, very good play, especially if you are going against an offense you know is going to pass. For me, that's the biggest one. That's also why I don't like dime. I just don't. It's just me, man. I just do not like dime. I've talked about it a lot. A lot of people love these sim pressures where they have the cool fronts up here. I just don't have any luck with dime defense, specifically against the computer. So hopefully this helped you out. We are not stopping. We're going to be doing more of these next week. 2 more defensive schemes next week. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe, like the channel, share it with your friends, all this other good stuff. Don't forget the link for the depth chart. And next time, I think we're going to 326 next time. 326 seems like a popular one. We'll do 326 next Tuesday. Look good, be good, do good things. And I will see all of you glorious creatures a little bit later.